Good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you are. My name is Greg Corbin, and I will be hosting Men and Love, presented to you by Love Now Media of Culture Trust. Love Now Media of Culture Trust is a nonprofit movement which uses storytelling to tell stories with a focus of wellness, justice, and equity. We have an esteemed panel tonight that's going to share with you a great dialogue and some insight on what it means to be a man in today's society. Right now, we're going to introduce our panel, moving from my left all the way around.
Good evening. My name is Paolo Pilati. I am a filmmaker, concert and event producer with Goody Goody Productions in Philadelphia. 2 feature films in prep right now, so we'll tell you a bit more about that later. But you got one.
Good evening. My name is Joel Austin. I'm president and CEO of Daddy University. We do male engagement training. We do fatherhood classes. We run what's called the National Fatherhood Conference and the Daddy-Daughter Dance. We also do mediation between couples, which is part of my hardest part of my job.
I'm Dave Trusso. I'm a stand-up comic and a novelist. I have a show on Sunday at the Irish Pole at 7 o'clock. So if you're here in this room, come see me. If you're watching this in a week, go back in time and come see it. It's going to be a good show.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Smith. I am the founder and CEO of Fostering Success Boys to Men, a nonprofit organization that is tailored and geared towards impacting the lives of young men at risk and young men who are in foster care.
Okay, so our first question of tonight is a goodie. It's a creative question. If love was an object, what would it be and why?
Greg, I have it.
You went straight for it.
I'm ready because I had an answer. If love was an object, love would be a container because you can only get out of it what you put into it.
Ooh. Ooh.
I should drop it.
Okay. Okay. Who else would like to share?
Sure.
Okay.
If that was an object, it would be a tree. It only grows the way whatever you put into it. You have to put your own sunshine, and sometimes you have to put your own moonlight into it. You have to put your own type of seed and nurturing, and sometimes your issues cause it to the fruit not to grow. And love is a tree. It is as strong as you make it.
You better be doing some poetry tonight. No. Good stuff. We know how it is when seeds don't get nurtured too. So, okay.
Well, I have 4 seeds. Oh, I'm a father. I'm sorry.
You're a father of what?
Father of 4.
Father of 4. Father of 4. Okay. 4. He has 4 trees. 4 trees. I'm gonna call my children trees. They my trees. Don't cut my trees down. Okay. You got it, Paul.
Man, I was going to say seed, and he took the tree, but I have 2 little seeds, 8 and 5, so they're not yet trees. But I'm with you, man. If you don't water your garden, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's going to die. It's that simple. So I have to stick with the whole growth, seed, tree, forest, hopefully, for all of us.
Some people are expecting fruit to grow and they watering it.
Well, it depends on how many kids you have. I'm just saying, I'm keeping mine small, but I'm done with 2, man. That's it.
I don't need a forest.
I love my trees, but 2's cool,
Okay. Dr. Smith, you got one?
I'm going to go along the lines of what my brother said here. The whole concept of love being a container, what you put in is technically what you get out. So if you make a good investment, hopefully you'll reap a great return. A village of a return.
Nice. Thank you. I'm gonna go back to you, Dr. Smith. What's your definition? What qualities go into manhood or masculinity?
Responsibility. One of the things we teach our young men in our program is being responsible for the responsibility and committed to the commitment of your own personal success, growth, and development, as well as those of the individuals in your village. So being responsible is a concept of manhood.
Okay. You got it, Dave.
I am Italian-American guy, so my concept of masculinity has a lot to do with kind of vulnerability. Italian men are very kind of can be macho, but they cry sort of at the drop of a hat. Very emotional people, very expressive about their love. So that to me is a big part of. Thank you very much. That's how I feel. It is very much expressing your love, or very, Italian men kiss their fathers on the cheek as a sign of respect. We're big into embracing people, show them so it's very much an outward expression of love, and that's the kind of a masculinity. So you got to be, it's tough to be like vulnerable, to put yourself out there. That takes masculinity, to be like vulnerable. Just being tough and like silent and strong, that's a weakness to us. To us, it's being expressive.
We're definitely going to come back to that too. Okay. Definitely. Joe, you got anything?
Oh, definitely. So we start out in our classes with teenhood, and then you go into manhood. Then you are supposed to go into husbandry, and then you go into fatherhood. Okay. So they are separate, and we have to make sure that we are separating them. So in manhood, you are self-sufficient. You're actually taking care of yourself, paying for things yourself, driving yourself, and you're actually a unit of self-sufficiency. Before you get into husbandry, which now it's 2, and then of course you end up with a village, it's an easier transition. So manhood has a lot to do with self-sufficiency, which is being able to personality, responsibility, it's beginning with yourself, being able to nurture and be able to do things, being able to be as strong as possible specifically for yourself, and be able to stand up for yourself, and then you can stand up for others, educate others, and do other things.
Awesome. You got anything?
No.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Cause
I have a lot to say, but I'll hold.
But you can start us off on this next question. Do you subscribe to the traditional patriarchy in which men run the households, i.e., institutions in society, which seems to be more male-dominated and less balanced?
Let me be clear about this. No, I do not. Okay. And I come from a long line of very strong women, my wife included, my mom, my grandmother, my daughters, my aunt, my sisters, and also Italian, and also somewhat machismo. Mm-hmm. But that ship has sailed a long time ago, man. And I think there's many different ways to run a household, but it starts with respect for your partner and your family, communication, and seeing where dividing up responsibility.
Okay, Dr. Smith, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much sure, and I'm in agreement with that. In terms of balance, I think how I was raised, and my dad did a lot to keep my mom, she wasn't supposed to work, and my mom would actually sneak to work. So in him trying to be what he deemed to be the man of the house, he was stripping her, or he stripped her of her own independence. So now, in hindsight, she's trying to redefine and rebuild herself or establish her own identity, and she's pushing 60. Because she was stripped of it, because my dad wanted to superimpose his concept of manhood and fatherhood, I guess, to a certain extent. And now when I just had an inner thought, my grandfather wasn't around. So my father was trying to do the total opposite of what my grandfather did. So I just had a whole aha moment on national television. Dr. Phil called me.
I disagree. Ooh. I am for it. I believe that there are specific roles that I am absolutely amazing at. I believe that there are different roles that the mother of my children are absolutely amazing at. I think that when I come in, she needs me. She trusts me to take care of a lot of different specific roles. I need her and trust her to take care of a lot of different specific roles. It's a little kind of a thin line-ish. I have found that my strength is more attractive than my weaknesses. I found that most women that I have met don't like the weak end. I don't like the one who is super humble, super sensitive. I think she needs to cry at the movie first before I even shed a tear, or else we might even break up. So I believe in the roles, not specific roles. I believe that I'm supposed to do what I'm best at, and she's supposed to do what she's best at. I'm not going to get into judging this, but there are certain times she's never cutting the grass like this, and she's never changing the antenna, and there's certain roles that she has that she doesn't even want me to do. So we are peanut butter and jelly. I'm peanut butter, she's jelly. When we come together, we make a great sandwich.
Okay, but so
right.
So I'm going. Oh, don't snap yet. Don't snap yet.
One he's taken. Just want to put that out there. So, no, I peanut butter and jelly. So are you always peanut butter and she's always jelly, or is it times in a relationship where it's okay to be jelly and it's okay to be peanut butter? Or it's just okay to just not be?
And that's a good question. I am always peanut butter and she's always jelly because that's the person I'm attracted to. So in childcare, I do it my way. When me and my boys go out and they want to climb a tree, I say go all the way up to the top of the tree and show me how far up the tree you can go. When she goes out with my boys, she says, don't go too far. They're still going to the tree, they're still having fun, but we have different kind of ways of looking and raising. And guess what? That equals balance to me. I don't want them lower at McDonald's saying I'm going to stay at French fries. I'm thinking I want you to be way up there presidential. That's why I want you to climb up there. And I have HMO, so if you fall, I mean, it'd be all right. Like, you just bounce a couple times, get on up a couple times.
So, Joe, I'm going to flip a question on you. How would your definition of manhood change if God was described in a feminine sense?
I think I'm made the way I'm made. I'm made the way I'm made. And let me tell you like this. I like worms, snakes, and bugs, and I have yet to meet a sister that I have been with that likes mice and rats. I can deal with it, and I was made that way. And I know what she would like if she sees a mouse, that she wants me to burn the house down, recreate it, and then re-clean the house after it's burned. It's just the way she is, and it's just the way I am. Where I come in, I take off my cape, I kill it, and take it 1,000 miles away. It's just what I do, and she's that peanut butter, and I'm jelly. It doesn't matter who the creator is. The creator made me this way.
Word. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to Dave with this next question. We have multiple racial and ethnic backgrounds on the panel. How does your cultural background influence your perspective?
You're not black?
I just was down the shore for the weekend, so I have a little something, but it's.
You said he had hot sauce in his bag?
I mean, I feel a debt to my black brothers because without you, I couldn't have a shaved head with a beard that comes out of nowhere and it'd be cool. Black guys invented that.
That is very true.
borrowed
Black
it.
people control
I would have
culture.
nothing. I would have nothing.
We don't get paid for our culture, but we create it.
Right.
Unfortunately, cultural appropriation is a real thing.
Yes.
But we're not going to go there. We're going to talk love tonight. We're going to keep it on the beam. But no, how does your cultural background influence your perspective on how you are supposed to show up in society as a male?
Well, again, like going back to the Italian thing, in an Italian household, traditionally, it's like a sort of a matriarchy. I mean, traditionally, the woman cooks and cleans. That's not necessarily the way it is today, but it's always been sort of the mother is the emotional core of the family, and the father is something different. So I grew up with that, and that does affect how you look at the world. If you've been raised in a place where, if something's wrong, you go ask your mother before you ask your father, then when you're out in the world, you see women differently. You see them as equals, and sometimes for me, I put them on a pedestal because I've had that thing. And that's not always a good thing. Maybe, well, apparently it is a good thing. But you know what I mean? If I go ask my mother something, then I'm more likely to talk to a girlfriend about a problem I'm having than a guy friend because that's how I was raised. So it influences, and that to some men is like, what do you mean? You're not talking to a guy if you have a problem? Why are you talking to a girl? But that's just my view of like how I'm going to go out and talk to people.
Wow. Anybody else want to take this question? You got it, Dr. Smith.
Oh man, you got two Italian guys talking back to back. If y'all
have different views, that's love, though.
No, it's all love. Listen, but to that point, I think he's a similar background to that is, Italian moms especially are very they run the house. They run the show, right. And so and that's all I knew growing up. And I grew up in a predominantly Italian American and African American section of West Philadelphia called Overbrook. One person. That's my wife, by the way. That was your wife. Overbrook in the house. That's how we have to do it.
Overbrook in the building. But, y'all pay bills.
But most of the dads were out working and the moms were home cooking and taking care of the kids and whatever. And it wasn't until I got older and had to cook for myself that I realized how important it was. And I'm calling my mom from school and I'm saying, "Oh shit, Mom, how do you make this? Or how do you make that?" And now I'm cooking for the whole, for everybody or whatever. And that's love, right? And a lot of love comes from food, right? And we can get into that whole other thing. So food actually is a good one. I think food is one that's stuck with me for sure, and my wife and my kids. And I think I express a lot of love through food, which comes through my Italian heritage.
Okay.
So from an African American point of view and community, African American men, it was just strength and then strength and then strength. My mother taught me love and then love and then love, but then those two combined meant that in my relationship, I am the strong one, and if anybody says that anything different or comes around her, then they were going to regret it. That I am a defender and I'm a promoter and I'm a supporter of her, and that's part of that strength as well. Whatever she wants to do, we're going to make it happen. If you say, well, the moon should be closer, well, give me some strength. Like, it's going to happen. And then also on the other side, my daughter taught me actually how to be a romantic. I got to be there on time and I got to wear pink, but I'm not getting into that. But because she said so. So these two types of concepts that you're surrounded with give you different images of husband, give you different images of father, give you images of what are you supposed to do and how are you molded. And then it came out to be strength. And that strength is not picking up stuff. It actually has to do with supporting and making things kind of happen.
And I'm gonna push you, because as a black male,
You gonna push it?
masculinity is a little bit differently, right? Like, because of institutionalized racism, white privilege, you may get more opportunities. But as a black male, when you're pulled over by the police, or when you see the trauma on television, it plays out differently. So for Dr. Smith, how does that affect you differently than your counterparts who are Italian?
It's actually, I'm glad you went that way with it, because when I heard the question, then when I read the question, the first thing that came to mind is, okay, based off of my experience being a black man coming from North Philadelphia, raised in the projects, in public housing, on welfare, that whole stereotype, or that whole experience, for me, I had to grind harder. So the way that I'm supposed, or I was conditioned to show up in society, was to be the overachiever. So as a black man who was kind of at the bottom of the chain, I got to work 3 times as hard to get close to what these men who are not of African descent, the privilege, right? So to have a voice at the table, I got to show up as Dr. Smith. He can just show up. So that's how I was conditioned based off of my cultural background. That's how that kind of influenced my drive to go. My mom didn't finish high school. Actually, I think my mom went about 7th grade. And my dad was a functional crack addict, right? So he wasn't there. But despite all of that, I was still able to see it through and become Dr. Smith. Yeah, clearly we all come from. I'm the youngest on the panel, so I'm from a different era. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I would say Philadelphia, being a blue-collar city, you do find a lot of hard-working parents. And I know what I saw in my household was interesting, because my father would literally mark his calendar double overtime, triple overtime in the calendar. And I was a fan of handwriting. So I would watch my father's handwriting, and to this day I could probably write his signature to the T if I wanted to, right? And I noticed how when my father got sick with cancer, him and my mom made a container, and they only told certain people. So here I am. My father supposedly was 6 months to live when they found it. I didn't find out till his 13th month when he was beating cancer, because he was carrying that burden. So it's interesting listening to everybody talk about masculinity, whereas though we talk about handling family and making political decisions within the family to not tell your children certain things.
Well, that's the whole protecting situation. I remember my mom, when her laugh oftentimes sounded like a cry. So me being the attentive, I was the middle child, so I was the one that was always self-sacrificing. So if we had to go without, I was the one opting to go without. No, Mom, I don't need the Jordans, or I don't need this, that, or third. I'll take this. But my mom protected us. We did not know that we was broke. We did not know we were poor growing up. By hook or by crook, she did what she needed to do. And I always kid myself when I tell people I was raised in suburban North Philly because inside of 1939 West Montgomery Avenue, my mom created an escape. She created something totally different than what we experienced when we went outside. Now, my dad, I said he was a functional crack addict because he was on crack for about 35 years. He's clean and he lives with me, right? He's a great man.
Wow.
But he,
Clap
no,
up, man.
there ain't no clapping. That's what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
right?
It's a story of redemption, though. That's
Totally. So my dad actually showed it with the work ethic. Like I told the gentleman, you know, I'm an educator. I had a nonprofit, a funeral director. I have a whole lot of different jobs. I learned that by watching my dad. So my dad always worked. He had his addictions, and he did what he needed to do, but he always had multiple streams of income. So he was able to cut the check to mom. Most of it he kept to himself, and he did what he needed to do. But he always worked, and he always provided despite of the challenges that he had.
I do want to get to the next question, but slip it in there, Joe. You got it.
From West Philly, but my parents were huge on self-esteem. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about this. It was huge on self-esteem. So I'm 6'2", 245. Yeah, you got that right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm 6'2", 245. I'm from West Philly, and that means I'm allowed and I should be playing 3 different sports. That's it.
Okay.
I'm allowed to play basketball, football, and if I want, I could do track. That's it. So as a youth, my mom and dad decided I'm going to be able to play tennis. So they put me in tennis camp. So they were into self-esteem because tennis camp made me go over to different neighborhoods and different places and beat other people in tennis. And I found out that his blood and his blood and his blood was red just like mine. And it didn't matter on anything else. So that self-esteem it just said there's nothing I can't do, no matter what.
Okay. Good stuff. I'm gonna go to Paula with this next question. All right, so how many fans of Prince do we got in the house? Got any fans of Prince? Clap it up for Prince.
Yes.
Clap it up for Michael Jackson. The two ancestors now. But Prince was like a very androgynous dude. Like you didn't know where to put Prince at when you saw him perform. I mean, the dude literally performed in bikini draws, okay? Like literally, and played the guitar shamelessly. In high heels, there you go, right? And it's this thing about performing masculinity or what it means to be a man and how we're conditioned to see it in different ways. Do you think your sexual expression plays a role in how people view masculinity and manhood in today's society?
Yes, I do. Of course, and I think if you're not Prince, and unfortunately, into the, you can't, and you certainly couldn't then, and you probably still can't now. I mean, in certain cities, Philadelphia is fairly tolerant in certain places, but not nearly enough as we ought to be. And
They wear rumpers now.
and
so,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those guys, David Bowie comes to mind.
Right. There you go.
Certainly Prince. Those guys certainly pushed boundaries, and changed. Were part of that change, and you need people on that level to change the conversation, and have young people look up to those kind of men and not see them in a way that might otherwise be negative just because of the way they're dressed or if they're wearing makeup or their sexual orientation and whatnot. So I think they're important. I don't think if he wasn't Prince that he would have gotten a free pass though.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm looking at the back end of what Prince came out of. You're talking about Grandmaster Flash. You're talking about the Parliament Funkadelic. The stage was pretty set for Prince to take a lot of risks, with a lot of people don't understand in context also, because there are a lot of artists who, Screaming Jay Hawkins is another one who took a lot of risk in the days of rock and blues, so those things, it's just interesting to get the answers and see the questions play out, because now we have rappers like Young Thug, or if you even watch Migos and how they dress, it almost has this flair of what Prince was doing. They're just not going as far, so I just wanted to ask that question. Anybody else would like to chime in? Dave, you have it.
I think it's interesting that for some reason there's things that we'll accept in a music video that we don't accept on the street. And we're always like 15, 20 years behind. Like if you saw Prince on TV, you're like, okay, he's in panties and he's wearing a dress and whatever. That's cool. But then you go out and you get on SEPTA and you're like, what the hell's that guy wearing?
Right.
And your brain can't like wrap themselves around it. So it makes those icons so important because 20 years from now, it will be that much more comfortable. But there's always got to be people who are willing to stand on the stage and be really,
brave.
Put themselves out there, be very brave, take a risk, so that the people who just want to live their lives like that and want to go to work can do it without people thinking it's weird.
Right. I knew it. Yeah, you got it, Joel. I knew it was coming.
I see that. I'm not on that level. I still see Prince. First of all, Prince is rich, and Michael Jackson's rich. You can wear that when you rich. Like
you can't dress like Puffy when you rich, though.
You can dress like a bumper when you rich. Like you can do so much stuff when you're rich, but when you're working every day, you have a certain classifications. People look at you in a certain way, and I don't care what anybody says. The scrawniest guy doesn't get the other jobs that the big guy gets. Like that masculinity, sometimes it plays a role. Like I'm not going to hire Prince for a lot of different things. He can't cut my grass. He probably can't. I mean,
he can play basketball. Don't sleep on Prince. Don't sleep. You saw Dave Chappelle.
Because there's a point guard for everything. But there's certain times where you look at someone like that and you'll say X, Y, Z. That's not the person I need for the position. And then you look at those times and you'll say I need that. Right. I'm saying you're.
Traditional male positions where you need to be physically big and now your stature is what matters to in terms of the effect.
Mike, use the mic.
Now I forgot everything I just said.
You basically were talking about how the physical stature of a man may play a role in certain positions in today's society.
Or opportunities.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that was the question I was going to ask the good brother.
So whether we like it or not, and I have to explain some things to my son, sometimes it is the way it is. I am 6'2", my next son is 6'1", and then have 6'3" and 6'5".
Your genetics, bruh.
Yeah.
He just said you got a squad of security guards. Like
because of their height and size, they are immediately looked at as secure.
See?
It is the way it is. They are immediately looked at as secure from females. So males would rather have someone secure like them around them.
Okay.
So I had to get them to choose wisely because women see them as extremely secure. It is the way it is. I don't know if they're the perfect couple, and I don't know about the other things. I think Prince might be a better boyfriend. I don't know about that. But from the eye, you would pick out 2 or 3 of my sons before Prince's kids.
Okay. I want to Paul.
No, I just want to say that
I'm gonna go to the next question.
I understand that point, but I know plenty of 6-foot+ people. I won't call them out on live television who have 2 right feet who can't put a hammer into a nail or whatever. So I understand what you're saying, but how do you know, man? Prince might be the best, grass cutter in the world, But you wouldn't hire him for that anyway. You're hiring him to change. Well, but
I don't
but
think.
But Prince was Prince before he became a household name.
Prince wasn't that big about that because Boosie Collins came out with high heels before him. Like there were people.
Use the mic. I love the passion, but use the mic. I was trying to. We're gonna move off of this.
You were talking about an entire generation of people wearing boots way before he was born. I mean, we haven't gotten into that. So he just manifested and made some different ideas, but from the visual eye of people, when I'm walking down the street or when you're trying to get hired for a job, certain things, it is profiling. That's what we do. We like that person better than that person. The cutest women get better jobs. It's just the way it is. And it has been. I don't care what you think it's rated.
I got to control the panel. So I want to, Dave, you get the last word on this, and because I want to go into the relationship questions. We got some people in the crowd who definitely want to hear what y'all got to think about relationships.
Joel brings up an important point about that's eat. That's not drink.
This water. Now you ain't gonna say nothing. All right.
Joel brings up an important point though about masculinity and size. He's 6'2", 245. I'm 5'8", 175, and I'm not gonna turn and go ladies like he did because nobody wants that necessarily. Just in and of itself, if you ask a girl what do you like, she'll say tall, dark, and handsome. She's not gonna say short and kind of funny. But you know what I mean? Listen to me. What I'm saying is, my whole
Mark
life I've been a
Zuckerberg.
smaller dude. It's not a thing that is seen as masculine, and I've had to find ways to get girls. That's how I became a comedian. You make a girl laugh, then you got her. Then I learned how to play the guitar, the piano, how to sing. I had to do all this stuff because I don't have tall privilege. Tall privilege isn't a thing. It's not like white privilege, but it's a thing. Hold on.
Did he just make up a word?
Yes, I made it up. It's a thing.
He said tall privilege.
And all I'm saying is that, yes, that is a thing, that there are so many different things he's bringing up that are true, that these stereotypes that we are all dealing with.
So Dave, we all
Yeah.
deal with stereotypes,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
everybody has a type in society because of social conditioning, because the way we're brought up through
Right.
TV, through media. And you talked about like the things you use to actually attract your partners, right? The question for you is, how do you know if someone is a life partner or a jump off or a short-term relationship?
Yikes. For me, it is about right. I've had
You on
I've had
TV.
I've had a lot of relationships, good and bad, and for me, the thing is how selfless is the other person. That's when I know a girl's someone I want to be with for long term, and someone if they're gonna put me first the way I'm putting them first, that's what I want. Like, I've had a bunch of relationships. I had one that was pretty abusive in a lot of ways towards me, you know, mentally, physically, a lot of different abuse. But that's not my least favorite relationship. My least favorite one is the girl who never put me first. She always did whatever was important to her. And I knew 5-6 months in, like, this isn't going anywhere, because if I put her first and she puts her first, I'm not even in it. I'm not in the equation.
Oh, wow.
All right. Huh?
Yeah, Dr. Smith.
My girlfriend approves, so that's good.
His girlfriend sitting there like, good answer. See you after the show. No, love is, yeah, right. He make me laugh. Love is kind, right? Love doesn't boast. Love is forgiving, right? Love covers. So when you find an individual who will love, like my mom say, love your dirty draws, right? That's an individual who's willing to put you first, right? And go the extra mile around you. You laughing at me?
No, I'm writing down love your dirty draw.
It just became a joke for Sunday, that's all.
No, I said draws, not drawers. D-R-A-W-L.
He said that's how white people spell it.
Draws. With an L. You got to put an L in there.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, no.
Son turned into a spelling.
See what had happened
It became a spelling
this
bee.
is a good
All
doctor.
right.
No, but, yeah, love covers. So when you find an individual who's willing to cover you and cover your faults and cover your errors and love you through those, then that's when you know you had the right one.
Ooh. Ooh. Wait. Ooh. 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 I want to ask you a different question. But no, I definitely want to hear your answer to this one, though.
You want just the shorty?
I need a short, because I got a couple more questions I want to squeeze in. So give me the short one. What is the difference between you choosing a life partner versus a jump off? What's the characteristics of a jump off for Joel?
Jump offs don't have goals with you. They have short term. Life partners from the door push you to be better so that they can be better as well. So when you're a mechanic and you meet a life partner, the first thing she starts saying is, baby, I saw an empty mechanic shop 3 blocks down that you should get. Jump offs are like, you need to start working on more cars because I need more things. So they don't have long-term goals.
What? This dude got analogies. This going to go on Facebook.
Don't drop it, throw it.
All right. So now this is just going to flip. Talking about relationships, right? And a hot topic in today's society is cheating, right? And commitment. What defines cheating in today's society, Paulo?
My voice over there. No, we were just having this conversation because a good friend of mine just got engaged the other day to a polyamorous woman. And we were kind of discussing.
Explain polyamory to the room, just for the people that may not know what poly meaning more than one.
Well, right.
Intentionally more.
So people who have multiple lovers, right?
Okay.
And so it wasn't, leaving that aside, it sparked this conversation over barbecue. Well, I'm just saying. No, I'm saying over barbecue. Yeah, okay. Oh, it wasn't pasta. Yeah. Anyway, it was actually pasta. I'm gonna leave it go.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
So it got in the conversation of if you would be able to handle that, what it means, what does cheating mean, and all that kind of stuff. And in this age, it's a lot different than it used to be. When I was a kid, it was pretty easy to see. You got caught cheating on your girlfriend, whatever, you got caught. Now, social media and all this other stuff play a part in it. What kind of relationships you have on social media, professional relationships, and whatnot dictate it. For me, in the entertainment industry, my wife's in the financial world, which is a male-dominated industry. I mean, she gets hit on constantly, daily. And, if we didn't trust each other, we would have been gone a long time ago. We've been married 13 years, so a lot longer than that. But we have an understanding that, okay, here's a line. We don't cross that line. We both flirt. I mean, it is what it is. But we don't go, any further than that.
And what defines flirting, though? Because for that's when it get a little dicey. Because flirting is like winking at the lady across from the bank teller, the bank teller at the counter, because you want to throw an extra $20 at you, so she can lose her job. So she gonna lose her job, But no, that's a gray area. That's a huge risk.
It is. I think it's different things to different people. I don't know. I mean, I think there's obvious lines that everyone could probably attest to, but it depends on what people are comfortable with. And I think it's very individual, or more specifically, coupled. So if you guys have an understanding of what that is, then it's cool. Whereas you and your fiance might have a totally different understanding. You're just looking at that girl, and that could be it for you and her, right? But for us, it could be, listen, this is how it's going to be. We're going to hang out at the bar for a little bit. We're going to talk. I'm a talker. We're going to hang out. Then I'm going to go home to my wife. And I've had I'm in the parent world now, right? So you go to these functions, and they don't necessarily know how you act. And I've had moms come up to me and say, "What are you doing talking to that lady at the bar?" Or whatever the case is, right? And I had to, explain to her, hey, I was actually asking her about the beer she had because I wanted to try that beer, and then we started talking, and here she is. We have similar friends. First of all, it's none of your business because my wife and I have an understanding, but that is a perception. There's no doubt about it, and people then start labeling you, not necessarily me, but in general, this dude's a flirt, or he must be a cheater, whatever the case is. So I do think it's very individualized.
I wanna go to Dave. Dave said he got something.
I have a thing. It's for me that it's not flirting. It's the difference between flirting and hitting on. Flirting is okay. Flirting is when you see someone attractive, your body goes through a series of biochemical changes you can't stop. If my girlfriend sees a guy who is tall, dark, and handsome, her heart rate goes up a little bit. She might get a little flushed in the cheeks. She can't help that. And if she talks to that person, things are going to be said that are just not necessarily meant to be like going somewhere, but just you can't help it, for guys and for girls. So flirting is not a problem to me. It's kind of recognizing that someone's attractive or that someone interests you in some way, that they're funny, whatever. Hitting on is the problem for me. Hitting on is flirting with an objective. It's trying to get that person to go with you in some way, to move something to another step, to keep moving it a step after a step after a step, for a guy or a girl. And that's the thing that I don't like.
Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you were being emotionally cheated on?
Yes.
Intellectually cheated on?
Yes, and I have done that myself. In my longest long-term relationship of 6 years, I definitely emotionally cheated on my girlfriend at the end. I part of what broke us up is I developed feelings for another girl, and we were spending a lot of time talking. We never did anything. It was never sexual. It wasn't sex talk or anything like that, but we were just talking as friends and stuff. And yeah, in the end, I sort of that role that originally went to my girlfriend of confidant and somebody I would go to was going to this other girl, and it pushed us apart. I ruined the relationship by accident by doing that.
I want to ask Dr. Smith this: Have you ever been cheated on or cheated? But I was trying to give you the out, bro. Dang. But no, what was your reasoning for cheating? And if you were cheated on, how did you respond?
So I'm just going to speak vaguely, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, I think it's human nature for us all to appreciate a good ego stroke, right? The fact that someone is stroking your ego, someone acknowledges you, someone thinks that you're cute, handsome, attractive, intelligent, that strokes your ego. But it becomes a challenge, or it becomes an issue when you're seeking that out, but you're committed to someone else. So if your level of commitment is to this individual that you're with, they should be fulfilling that void, or should be fulfilling that need. And when you have to step outside of your relationship and kind of piece together your relationship, so I'm getting my sexual gratification from this person, my emotional gratification from this person, my spiritual gratification from this person, then you're not in a relationship with one person. You're in a polyamorous relationship, right?
It's scattered because a relationship is a whole person event. It's an experience. If you're not connected, equally yoked mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even sometimes psychologically and definitely physically, then you're not in a relationship. You're
roommates.
And yeah, that's how you become the roommates, kind of the point you were making. I guess the last question before we go to Q&A. We go to Q&A. I didn't get that. Joel, I know you got a dope analogy. Go for it, Joel. Joe, just go for it. No, okay.
Just relationship-wise, so we deal with close to about 1,000 males a year. We teaching and training and so forth. So none of them that we've ever talked to have cheated for sex. It's always for intimacy. It's always for someone that'll actually listen to them, validate them, make them feel safe and secure. And then that person actually, like you said, you meet them at the bank, you meet them at the coffee shop. I'm not getting that at home. So in my relationship, I let her know all of my needs. And when you say to a woman, this is what I need, a lot of women are thinking about this, and I got to do this sexually and wear high heels, and that has nothing to do with it. I have to express all of my needs. I need you to know how fragile I am. I need you to know how I get upset, and I need you to be able to fulfill this, and I need you to make me feel safe, and I need you to make me feel secure through communication. So if somebody hit on you at Dunkin' Donuts, I need you to tell me, but I need you to go back the next day and get me a coffee latte with the cream on it for free. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't see how it's going to work. I mean, if it's going to work.
It's just funny because it's a random coffee latte.
If some sister works at Enterprise, no, I mean, hey. So I'm able to express everything. And to me, cheating is everything outside of open, fearless honesty. If you're keeping something, then that's cheating. You can tell people you did this and you did that, and that's what's wrong. Sometimes they see people on the down low. You'd be surprised how many people like chickens, like this, want this in their bedroom. People like to be whipped, flogged, or in polyamorous, but you just don't talk about it. So once you find that person, it's not cheating. This is what we do in our house. Right, and you're allowed to do this, that, and the other thing in our house, and that's it.
And I think what you're getting at is the vulnerability and the power of vulnerability.
Yes.
And a lot of men have that challenge. No matter how they identify, vulnerability can be a challenge for men. So I mean, I want to bring up another.
If you're not a good listener, which a lot of women I met aren't. Yeah, I said it. You'll find a lot of people that are open vulnerability. So if you listen, you'll find people that just let out all their inner. If you can shut up for just a little while, you'll be surprised how much of the inner self you can find in somebody.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. Last question I'm going to ask before we go to the audience for Q&A. I know we dropping some wisdom on y'all. Clap it up for the wisdom we dropping on y'all. Okay. You enjoying yourself? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. You can just feel the room thinking. We know it's like, whoa, this is some good stuff. And you don't get to see men being this honest and open a lot. And people are looking for answers, trying to understand what masculinity is. It's evolving. We see it in the music. We see it in the entertainment. And now there's an online or even an open conversation going on in a lot of gender studies movements. And one of the things that's coming up a lot, especially with this late generation, I would say the millennials and the generation before, is toxic masculinity, and it's defined by the norms that include dominance, devaluation of women, extreme self-reliance, and the suppression of emotions. In what ways are these influenced by the media and entertainment itself? Let's go to Dr. Smith.
And not parenting? We're not going to include that in there?
And parenting, I mean, well, okay. Anything that informs the upbringing of a young man.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so Yeah, who's picked the panel? They did a good job.
Yeah, this is
So,
a good
no,
job. Good job, Josh.
I was
Good
driving down the highway and just had a thought to myself. I'm always thinking to myself. I mean, this is a challenge, and this is what I contend with working with young African American males specifically every day. Their idea and their concept of what masculinity is and what manhood is and how one is actually supposed to exist or show up in the world is totally skewed. And I'm just speaking from the experiences I have with the young men coming from the inner city. Dominance, devaluation of women, extreme self-reliance. Most of this stuff is garnered from what they see in these rap videos.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, my best friend is the manager to a strong artist, and they want to do a lot of work with my nonprofit organization. And I'm like, hell no. Everything that you guys put out there on social media, on Instagram, say in the rap videos, totally contradicts what I'm trying to instill into these young men. But to your point about what about the family, what about the parents, they're the first teachers. But a lot of these young people, life has been their only teacher. So now life has to continue teaching them, and that's the only person they want to actually influence who they are and who they become and how they exist or they show up in the world. So we have to wait until they get sick and tired enough and want some help. But oftentimes it's too late because the frontal lobe don't fully develops until one is 25 years old. So now at that point, you want some help. You're looking for Dr. Smith to plug you in with a job or get you in school. But now you have felony offenses. You never finished high school. And it's too much for me to kind of dig you out of this grave you didn't already put yourself in.
And systemically, unfortunately, a lot of young men, especially young men of brown and black, young men don't have those opportunities given to them. They're born and they inherit a certain scenario based on the setup that was happening for them generations before they even was thought of. We're going to move to the Q&A because we have to. Yeah, I got y'all. Okay. But no, we have to move to the Q&A. And I want to take a couple of questions from the room itself. So I guess we have to pass the mic around. Okay. And just who has a question for the panel? Okay. I'm gonna go here.
Do I stand? I guess I'll stand.
Yeah, stand. Make sure you speak up too.
Hi everyone. My name is Robin.
What's up, Robin?
I have a question for the panel. I wanted to bring up toxic masculinity, but you hit the nail on the head. My question is, whose responsibility is it to check men when they exhibit toxic masculinity? Is it other men? Is it women? Is it people in the workplace? Whose responsibility is that?
Ooh, good question. We're gonna keep our answers short too.
A lot of times when you find someone who has toxic masculinity, they've been raised by a woman who believes that he doesn't need to be raised by a man. Let's be real. So if you are, sometimes it's called, we say single motherhood, but single mother is not always doing that. If you're a single mother and you're not promoting mentoringship, if you're not promoting him to be around other males, because males don't need to put their hands on other males. I'm too big. You're scared when I walk in the room. So we don't talk like that. We don't mold each other like that. So the toxic masculinity a lot of times comes from a single mother that says she doesn't need this man. She doesn't need any man. She can do it herself. And she punches him to improve his masculinity. She dominates him to improve his masculinity. She tells him he can't cry at all to improve his masculinity. He becomes a toxic male.
That's definitely one way it gets there. It's not the only way. I'll say that much. But it's a huge way. I have to agree in a lot of ways. Dave.
I think that men as little boys have a lot more fathers than people think. Your father, if he's there, is your father, and that's your 100%. That's your example of how to treat a woman. It was for me. If your father's not there, it might be your uncle, might be your big brother, older friends that you know. But you're gonna find one, and for some people, it is music videos or guys in comic books or whatever. Guys look for men to everyone models themselves after someone when they're little. So those are the things that are going to set that up. But once you get to this age, when you're an adult, to her question, anyone can be responsible for saying, that what you're doing is not cool. It's just all about how you go about it. You know what I mean? If you say to a guy, like what you said to me made me feel worthless, that will get through to a guy more than like you're being a jerk, you're being a chauvinist, whatever. You know what I mean? If you go to somebody and tell them how you felt about what they did, that will seep in over time, hopefully. If
Yeah.
the guy's worth his salt, after a while he'll realize, I don't want to make somebody feel bad like that.
And a huge part of the toxic masculinity playing out is because we're performing for our friends. We're performing for acceptance. It's been noted when you turn 10 or 11, your peers become the people you want to impress most in society. You don't care about authority figures. So if it comes down to music or if it comes down to entertainment, you're not looking at what your parents and Lord forbid you don't have parents in the house. Now it's even more challenging. So you have your choices now, the stuff I hear on the radio versus the stuff I'm gonna find on underground and social media. You know, everybody doesn't have access to Joey or Kendrick or even Jay-Z's new music if you don't have title, which comes into now I gotta pay to be smart. I gotta pay to be critically thinking in today's society when it comes to music. So
get rid of it until you get rid of toxic femininity. You can't have one and
that's
have
and
the
that's
other.
that's the other side of
You
it.
have to get rid of that. There are people who hate and hate and hate and hate. So you can't have people who hate males and then say you have males who hate females. Guess what? We're going to have to push them all together into a balance.
So we have a conversation.
So you got to work on one. If your sister says X, Y, and Z, you need to check her. You need to check her.
And a question to you: do you check, or is that okay? Because unfortunately, a lot of women don't bring it up that this can go both ways. This argument of they say men are trash or men ain't this, and it's like you do know. It's a conversation around women ain't this and this and that. So, it needs to be a balance. So I'm going to go to the next question.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cherry. My question is for the panel is about men processing pain. When men get their feelings hurt or something happens, a lot of times, men can become emotionally unavailable. And they kind of, sort of shrink back and keep a lot to themselves, which sort of ruins the communication. How do you reverse that process? If you're dealing with a man who is emotionally unavailable, how do you get him to open up and to,
Run.
I'm going to tell you.
Run.
One of my friend's fathers said this. He's a pastor of a church, too. He said, a man who does not cry in a situation that is warranted for it, you need to run the other way. So if a man only can cry for his homies during death, but there's other situations when during love and in the relationship, they show no emotional vulnerability, you need to get out of Dodge.
No,
that's the other side of it, right? So the processing of pain. So
I have a sister, older sister, and her challenge. And I had to, challenge her to look at yourself. You're attracting broken black men. And you're attracting these broken black men because you have the intention that you can fix them. But you're setting yourself up for failure over and over and over again. You can't fix a broken black man. You can love him and you can affirm him, but if he comes to you broken, he has to go away from you and be fixed. However that's going to happen. The fixing you can't fix him. And I think oftentimes women find themselves in this perplexed place where they believe that they can fix this man. And, I'm going to change, I'm going to clean him up, and I'm going to do these things. And if he's broke, he's broke. Run.
But if you're saying by example that my brother passed away, if you're saying something occurred, if you're saying that an event happened, then that's totally different, and you close in. So my answer to you is I am going to tell you what I need in time. You can't rush it, and the best ways to do it is to try to get me to events that are quiet, that I like, and it will come out to you in the middle of a movie. It was going to happen when I believe it's going to happen. And you be patient with me, and you hold my hand, and you tell me I got you, and you keep being confident and telling me you can let it out anytime you want. I'm not going anywhere. It's going to come out. I'm going to start yelling for no reason in the middle of the night, screaming about my brother, and you're just going to hold me. You don't fix nothing. You just keep telling me you're not going anywhere. It's going to come out when I say.
The thing I was going to say is about men and caves. There's not a lot of things that actually, really apply to only men and not to women. One thing that I find is like more than just a stereotype is when a woman is in pain, her instinct is to go to other people, usually other women, to get I feel your pain, I empathize with you. And a man's instinct when he's in pain is to go hide in his cave and be alone until the pain goes down. So part of it is just understanding the male process of grief and pain is to go in that cave, and then when he's ready to come out, he'll come out and talk to you. And it's not the same. Men aren't necessarily looking for the empathy that women look for, and I feel your pain. If he tells you something, he probably just wants you to listen and hear it. Just being there for him, that speaks volumes for a man that you were just by his side.
And I appreciate both sides of those answers, because we're talking about with the Love Now movement and in 11 Days of Love, it's talking about storytelling and the idea of not just speaking but listening. And I think what you both alluded to very, very gracefully was the need for faith in a relationship, patience, and safety. Because we don't say it a lot, but men need safe spaces too. And I think also men need to unpack what safety looks like for us, and whether it's individually or in group settings more and more. All right? So I'm going to go to the... I guess some people will feel safe in strip clubs. Okay. No, we're going to go right here. Yeah, Dave.
How y'all doing?
How you doing?
My name is Mike. I'm 19. I'm from Gray's nonprofit organization, PYPM. I'm one of his mentees. And I've been in a relationship for 2 years with my girlfriend. Basically, I don't know what love is. I ain't even gonna lie. But I think I have an idea of what it is, because I'm with somebody who make me mad, who make me happy. Like, they just control all my emotions, but not in a bad way. It's just something I ain't never really feel before. So my question to y'all is, like, what criteria should I meet for myself to be emotionally mature to sustain that relationship? Because I don't want to lose it.
Yeah. Came from somebody 19. Yep, that did.
First of all, Mike, that's beautiful, truly, man. That's amazing. And you can feel that at that age or even younger. And I will say this, you know what, you know it, and it may not last forever, but what you're feeling is love, right? Because of everything you just said. And so, treat him or her well, the way you want to be treated, right? And then see how life plays out. You're still very young, so, you guys, it's very likely that you can still love that person and then go in your separate ways, right? But everything you just said, man, you're already light years ahead of most 19-year-olds I ever talked to, man. So you're already doing the right thing, man.
Yeah, you've evolved. You definitely evolved, because you're asking the questions, you're critically thinking, you're being reflective. And a lot of men in general, even older than you, still haven't received that skill set because they're not mature enough to get there. So you need to give yourself a round of applause. Joe, you get a comment. I got to go to the last question over here.
I have a lot of customers that end up really mad at each other because they have children with strangers, which means that they haven't evolved into romance and cultivating and finding out what the other person's goals are, and sometimes what your goals are. So if you want to go to college, she has to be on board. If you want to move to California, you better find it out now. And there's something that pisses you off, you need to talk about it till she understands it doesn't piss you off no more, because once you get married, it hurts more. So figure out what the heck you want first, and then find out what are her goals, because sometimes you can get married in love and she's been dying to go to Atlanta and you've been dying to go to California, and it's called divorce.
So I'm gonna go to the last question. 2 more minutes. Okay.
Go.
And the other thing I wanted to say to you, Mike, since you're the youngest person in the room, but this is for everybody in the room. You're in a me-lationship first, not a relationship, which is relating to someone else. But you have to be in a space to date yourself also, spend time with yourself also. And if you can't marry yourself, if you look in the mirror like I did 5 years ago, and I said, would you marry you? And I said, heck no, I wouldn't. You get what I'm saying? So it takes time. You're ahead of the curve, but it still is going to take some time. So be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself. Kenny, don't have children. Not yet. That's 15 years down the line. All right, Kenny, you got it.
Good evening.
Last question, Kenny.
My name is Kenny, and I have a very quick question. Typically, I don't hear our brothers embracing the idea of same-gender loving relationships. And so where do you think the origins of homophobia start with manhood? And so why aren't we having those same conversations about love and same-gender loving relationships?
Thank you, Kenny.
I have never saw the difference between problem situations and drama. I have never saw the difference. I've never seen same gender have more arguments or less arguments than marriage. I think when you're talking about loving somebody, you're talking about loving somebody. When you're talking about this tree, you're bringing the same heartache and problems and drama or not. I've had a lot of conversations, and we've never said, well, those relationships are totally different than these. Like, divorce happens now, like marriage happens now, and actually custody and support and people getting their kids taken away happens now. So it's all real for all of us. So when you talk about pain, pain is pain, and love, it really is love. You need to, the same thing for him. You better have a plan. I need to know what you like, not just the music, but what pisses you off.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I want y'all to give a round of applause for our esteemed panel. Clap it up, clap it up. I also want you to give a round of applause for Love Now Media of Culture Trust. Presenting, producing Men in Love, and of course our sponsor of Alpha Prosperity Financial. Clap it up for Alpha Prosperity Financial. Love Now Media will be presenting 11 Days of Love, so be on the lookout for their events for the next 11 days. That's July 5th to July 15th. Remember, it's a nonprofit of the Culture Trust that focuses on storytelling through justice, wellness, and equity. I'm Greg Corbin. This is Men in Love. Have a lovely evening, and hope you enjoyed and you learned something valuable today. Peace, love.